I'm Barry Tramel, and the team that changed my mind the most at Big 12 Media Days was Texas Tech.
I'm Jenni Carlson, and from the Opubco studios in Oklahoma City, you're watching the Press Row. I was impressed by Texas Tech too, Barry, but I have to say, the team that might have changed my mind most was Kansas. I was a little surprised at Turner Gill. He was more impressive than I thought, but Texas Tech, Tommy Tuberville, he was impressive as well.
Well, I just like Tommy Tuberville's message, which is they're not going to wholesale change the offense from Mike Leach. They're going to tinker with it. They're going to run the ball more, but he's still going to use the spread offense and still use all those receivers and even both quarterbacks that Mike Leach left him. And he's going to bring a defensive mentality, which I think Texas Tech, anybody in Red Raider land would sign off on. So I was very impressed with Tuberville. This is a guy that knows what he's doing. He went 13-0 in the SEC with Auburn in 2004. Guy can coach. Texas Tech's really had it rolling the last several years. I think Tech is going to be a force.
Well, I think with both Tech and Kansas, in both of those cases, they lost their coaches after last season. Mike Leach fired at Tech, Mark Mangino fired at Kansas. And I think what we see is both of those schools and their new coaches hiring almost opposites of the coach that got fired. Now, Tommy Tuberville is not a stick in the mud. He's very good guy to work with, good guy to talk to. So you don't lose that in terms of what Mike Leach offered. He was always an entertaining guy. But I think in Kansas with Turner Gill, he seems like a guy that is a little bit more into team building and camaraderie building. Mark Mangino was a very hard sell type of guy, very tough love type of guy. It's what got him into trouble, Barry. And I get the feeling like from what we hear from these players, this is something they're buying into. They really like it. And I think that they may be not ready to jump up to the top of the North Division, but I do think that this approach may pay some pretty serious dividends for Kansas.
Well, I think it's going to be interesting to see what kind of job Turner Gill does at KU. I think the biggest problem he faces is just that Mangino sort of left the cupboard bare. He's got no quarterback. Todd Reesing's gone. Kansas was not all that good last year anyway, finished the year with a 7-game losing streak, losing record. So I don't think Turner Gill has much to work with. I do think it'll be interesting to see long term if he can get Kansas back to that level, Orange Bowl level 3 years ago. So I think Turner Gill's a good hire for Kansas. I just don't expect immediate dividends.
Well, and I think it's interesting, too, to see what happens in the North Division. And unfortunately for Turner Gill and everybody else in the North, it looks like after this next year, when the Big 12 goes to 10 teams, there's not going to be any divisional play. It's sounding more and more like that's going to go by the wayside, and you're going to have a round robin where everybody plays everybody in the conference and no championship game. So those North teams are going to lose that little buffer they had and only having to play 3 of the South squads. They're going to have to play all of the teams in the South. So that will sort of shorten the window of opportunity for Turner Gill to maybe jump up. But you know what? I wouldn't be surprised to see Kansas have a really nice finish this year, even in his first year, and even without Todd Reesing. They're obviously not where they maybe could have been if he'd had a little more talent coming in. But I really thought that they might be a candidate to maybe not finish over in the league, but I thought they were going to be hard-pressed to win games. Now I think they're at least going to be competitive in most of their games, and we'll see just how competitive as this season goes on. Stay with the best coverage team anywhere at newsok.com and every day in the Oklahoman.